welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
CJ Liu from the Fired Up with CJ show. Woohoo!
If you've ever wanted complete, total, radical change and upgrading in your life, then do we have the Phoenix Rising show for you. Today we'll talk about how to rise from the ashes, reinvent yourself, and discover yourself anew. That plus we'll talk about capsizing boats, drone and cried, adventure drives, replacing grills, Phoenix Rising, sunrise ritual, death circle, oh my gosh, bioenergetic healing, entering without breaking, commissioning chicken backpacks, and what in the world's rooster hair and turning 50 have to do with anything. So welcome back to the show, CJ. Are you ready to shine?
I am ready to shine. Woo-hoo-hoo. Okay, how was your birthday?
Birthday was eventful. It was a beautiful birthday. It was fascinating. Birthdays used to be laden with junk. My birthdays used to be the biggest day of my melting down in my life yearly.
Really? Wow.
They were my least favorite events. These were the events where I got grounded, beaten, in trouble. You named it on my birthday. Can't say I may not have earned it. Who knows? Well, nobody really earns beatings. But birthdays had a PTSD factor to them. And I love you, parents, if you're listening. I love you, I love you, I love you. But with that said, birthdays did not go so well.
No.
This year's birthday, because we've got a tour coming up, we've got a book coming out, we've got all of these pieces of the puzzle. We took off all of these days in advance of the birthday, and instead it was all logistics and planning and work, and logistics and planning and work, and logistics and planning and work. And finally, on like 4 o'clock, 4:30 on my birthday, we finally got out of the house.
Oh no, Michael!
And we got out. We got out on our kayak, our little inflatable kayak called the Explorer, that we hadn't taken out since the forest fires 2 years ago. And being on the river is where there's the least smoke. And we've been smoked in the last couple of weeks, and Jessica's been very ill with the smoke. And this was a less smoky day, so she was finally coming back to life. We got out on the river. We inflated this thing up. It had a leak in it. I went to the local bike shop, got a patch kit.
Oh my God.
Patching up the raft. Now, this is a drought, so the river didn't actually have much water in it, so we weren't feeling too bad. In fact, they took the fin out of the bottom of it that helps it to go straight because it would just catch on all the rocks.
Wow, it's really low then. I don't think it's
scraping rocks, and so we go down a few rapids, and then we're just scraping along. We get stuck. I'd get out. I'd push us to get going again. We'd get stuck again, sort of like in the snow. He'd push us to get going.
Oh,
At
no.
one point, some big winds came up, and there were 2 or 3, I'm guessing ospreys, giant raptors flew over us, one with a chipmunk or squirrel, if not too happy, beneath it on its last only flight. And at one point, one of the ospreys turns to us in the wind, and I didn't even know they could do this, and starts flapping with its tail down.
Wow.
Like a phoenix rising, and is just treading water, so to speak, in the air for at least 10, 20 seconds. I can still envision it. It's like burned into my consciousness. It burned into Jessica's consciousness, and it totally looked like a phoenix rising.
Wow.
Which is the new logo for the show.
Yes.
And I'm going, wow. A minute or two after that, we're on the right side of this river. We're stuck on the rocks. And it looks like there's flowing water on the left side of the river. And so I'm pushing to get the kayak going. We get going into some water. There's not much control because you don't really have a rudder. And all of a sudden the water takes us, sucks us in toward a tree on the edge.
Oh no!
Flips the kayak over.
Oh no!
Jessica's got her legs sort of underneath the kayak, finds her way down onto the ground. It's not that deep, but it's very flow-filled water. And I go, I'm letting go with the oar. And I let go of the oar. She goes, okay. I let go of the oar. I scoop her up. So I'm holding her. We're standing in this water. She managed to clamber to safety. And then I said, I'm going to have to let go of the kayak.
Oh.
And I watched Explorer head off on potentially her last journey ever without us.
Oh my God. Wait, you couldn't drive down the river and find it?
we thought we marked it on our GPS, on our wristwatch GPS, and it took a half a mile of getting through thickets and marshland and stuff to get out. And then what's really funny is we had now 2.5 miles. We're on the bike path that I'm usually on, and we had 2.5 miles of jogging and walking on a bike path, wearing life vests and bike helmets. Not one person who passed asked what we were doing.
Or do you need any help or anything?
Nobody. We've got life jackets on the bike path, not normal bike path behavior. We get back to where, because we had parked cars at different places to be able to shuttle ourselves. We get back to the car, we get inside. I'm still blue and shivering. But it's all, life is good. And so I've got the heat on, turn on the car, start munching on a bar. There's somebody outside of the car, and I'm like, oh, they probably don't want us idling. I don't like to idle either. And so I start to back up, and then they look like they're trying to get my attention. And so I roll down the window, and there's a guy who had been there when we came to get into his car, but he goes, oh, my friends are just wondering, they just found this kayak. Do you have an inflatable Explorer K2 kayak?
What? How did his friends find the kayak?
It was in a next tree down river. And they had brought it back, and they said, and are these paddles yours? One of the paddles was, one of them wasn't. And so we gave it to them as a gift for Brad of bringing our kayak down. It came back to us. I believe she's our last voyage in her. She was not meant really for heavy-duty river, not that this was, but we will donate her. But it came back to us.
Wow.
And if we had been a second earlier in leaving, it wouldn't have happened. It was just too cool. And there was such symbolism. Pookie, I'm letting go of the kayak. Now, or I'm letting go of the paddle. Now I'm letting go of the kayak. It's letting go of what doesn't serve you anymore.
Wow.
This admittedly, this wasn't a top-end kayak. This was the world's on fire 2 years ago. Let's get ourselves a little kayak. What do they have on Amazon? Oh, here's this $59 special that's supposed to be in a kiddie pool.
I thought that because kayaks generally in Seattle, if you buy, it's like a couple $1,000s.
Yeah, the next one we're gonna get the best of the best inflatable kayaks we can get, because why risk it? But there was such a symbolism of letting go of the old and watching it. Now the only thing that we have to say about it is we're starting to GoPro up for our RV tour and start to record everything. And I'm like, man, if only I had the GoPro on and watched the kayak go away.
Wow. Wow, what symbolism. Wow. So you took the kayak back, though, which is interesting. I would have just given it to the people, like, God bless. Here you go.
Oh, they didn't want the kayak. And they didn't want my paddle, but there was a second paddle that had been in the tree that was apparently a good paddle. I'm like, that's not mine. They're like, we have that? Yes!
Wow. Oh my God. So, wow. That's kind of an unexpected birthday and one that's not really that great. No offense.
That was my best birthday ever. The phoenix before us, the symbolism of crossing the river from one side. That's the symbolism here, is we were stuck on one side of the river with no water. Mm. And man, did we get jammed into flow on the other. But there was such a switching, a traversing of energy, of letting go of one thing to allow for something else in. Mm. And that's this time period, I believe, for all of us. And that was really driven home. In fact, I forgot about this. 2 nights ago, I had one heck of a nightmare. Oh my God. It was the never-ending dream. You have the nightmare, you actually start whimpering in your sleep right before you're about to scream. You wake yourself up, you go back into the dream, it's the same dream. You wake yourself up, you go back into the dream again. And it was about me holding on to a power cord, an outdoor power cord plugged into this house for dear life. And at one point, some sort of animal cut through the cord and I started screaming in my dream. Wow. And it is because we've had forest fires all around us.
Yeah.
I just spoke with Dawson Church, author of Genie in My Jeans and now Bliss Brain. And his house 3 years ago burned down, and that's the start of his book. I've got Wallace J. Nichols on the show on Tuesday. He's the author of Blue Mind. His house burned down 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
He sent
no.
his 19-year-old daughter off to college, and that evening their house burned down. That had been with them her whole life.
Oh, my gosh.
And I look at all the symbolism, and we've been thinking about Phoenix on the hood of our car, and for with 3 miscarriages and stuff, rising from the ashes, and we're gonna move.
Yeah.
Done deal. End of story.
Wow.
We are going to. We love this. This is our dream home. We are not meant to be here anymore.
Oh, you're going to move. So you're going to move out of that house.
We are gonna move. Yeah, out of the house. Done deal.
Wait, that's a huge thing because you at one point thought you were going to live in the house, but so just letting go of the house is a huge thing.
And total, radical change, letting go, rising from the ashes. In fact, rising from the ashes before there are ashes, we're letting go.
Okay. Wow, Michael. Okay, so now you're going to have to move out of your current. Is this changed to September 15th departure date?
Well, no, we're going to go on our September 15th departure date on the RV tour. We're going to finish the RV tour. We've started packing the house now. We're going to finish the RV tour, and we're going to pack up. And whether the RV tour has pointed to where we're going to go next, or whether we're positioning ourselves right now that maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a few years on an RV.
That's what I was thinking, that like maybe this just means like just live on the RV. Why not?
That's my guess is we're renting one to see what we like and see what fits for us. But there's only so many signs and symbols that Jessica and I are willing to ignore before we go, I get it. And
Right, so I get it. So the
and furious.
Right, so the dream about houses burning, kind of you're like, this house could burn down when we're gone, and we'll
Jessica's
lose
had
everything.
the dream of this house burning down. She has had that dream.
Oh, wow.
So, and she said it was more real than a dream. So she had that dream. I had the dream of cutting the cords. We had a fire come to 1.5 miles from this house. We had the big fire 2 weeks ago, plus a smaller fire that started only 4 miles away. In the midst of that time, we have amazing BLM lands behind us that I told the UPS driver, it looks so dry that if I stare at it long enough, it's going to light on fire. He goes, no, it's so dry that if I point my high beams on the bush, they're going to catch on fire.
Oh, wow.
And we're looking at each other, Jessica and I, because we had to drive, which kind of goes along with this whole thing.
Wow.
We had a car repair done that didn't work out as expected. Or not prepared, setting up the vehicle for the RV. It didn't work out quite as well as expected. And we needed to go to Denver yesterday, a drive we didn't plan on taking, 4-hour drive at a drop of a hat. And Jessica's first question to me is, what's the weather going to be like? Now, one would think what she means is, are we going to hit bad weather along the way? What she didn't tell me till afterwards is what she was asking is there a chance, is it going to be really hot and dry? Because if so, we could have a fire come over the ridge and hit the house, and I don't want to go. So what's the weather going to be like? Is it safe? So her mama bear gene is in the back of her house going, not safe to be here anymore.
Wow, Michael, that's just such a huge thing. And do you know if you'll even return to Colorado? Like, what are you thinking?
I have been, so we've bounced around beautifully. I've been a Colorado, not native, but I'm in Colorado since 1988. And although in the middle of it, we moved to Taos, to Maui, to Jersey, to Outer Banks, and back to Colorado over a 10-year period. But I've been here more than anywhere else since 88. And I would say it's home, it's home, it's home, it's home, it's home. And now what I'm going to say is I'm open, I'm open, I'm open, I'm open, I'm open.
Wow, so this RV tour may be a tour for where's next.
It is definitely. Now, whether the RV tour is we drive to where it'll be next, or whether it is the unmooring that's often necessary, the letting go of the old, so that we have space in our hearts to figure out what is next. that's a complete unknown. In fact, Jessica's doing some planning on the tour right now. And just like we talked about last week with the Camino, you can't plan for this. We have to allow for the road magic. My guess is the right thing will chase us down, or the right idea will chase us down. But that dream was realer than real with me holding on to the cord and just holding on for dear life. And I woke up just about screaming.
When was this dream? So when would all of this occur? Because I just haven't talked to you for 2 weeks. So like, yeah, because it's like, this must have been really recent. Because it's been 2 weeks since we haven't talked, right?
Well, I think it was last week. It's all, no, it's 2 weeks because we said birthday. So it's been 2 weeks, but the dream was probably 4 days ago. The capsizing of the boat was on my birthday, which was it's about the same day. So this is all very, very
wow, recent. Wow, Michael, wow, and you have a lease that you can actually get out of. The person's like, okay, fine. Wow,
everything is, the timing of it is perfect. So we just have to let go.
Wow.
Like letting go of that raft and say, really, whatever is meant to be, universe, I am open.
Wow, the Phoenix Rising is taking on even more significance than before. I mean, before it was just, we've had this hardship in our life and we're moving beyond, we're doing, now it's like, no, we're like, everything is.
Well, we had ashes falling out of the sky the last 2 weeks. We had Jessica curled up almost fetal position around 4 air filters, plus wearing a portable HEPA air filter with a hose to her mask, unable to do anything with headache and nausea and everything from the smoke, with it up into the 200s with the AQI for a couple weeks, from 150 to 200 or above. And it's enough. It's enough. And we as a society and we as a people are getting our own ash falling out of the sky, saying, if not now, then when? How do you want to change? How do you let go of your shore?
Yeah, and if you,
we're all getting it.
I'm not sure what to think of the boat scenario, because you were kind of like dead in the water, like trying to like move it forward, and then you went to the other side, but then the boat crashed into the tree.
And the boat crashed into the tree because I wasn't prepared. I had removed the fin. It's a 2-step dance. You have to steer as well.
Oh, right. Okay, because it was this fin. Oh.
And I was under or ill-equipped. I wasn't. So it was right to cross from one side of the shore to the other. In fact, we can call it a baptism on the other side that we got. And now if I am to get that kayak, so to speak, for our tour, it will be the right tool for the right job.
Right.
Certainly.
Right. Yeah. Well, because I've actually been in, when you hit a whirlpool like that, there is nothing scary. And you can't really tell until you're in it. And then when you're in it, you have a sense of, you're like, now I have a new respect for nature. I had no idea that this little whirlpool, which you can barely see, could suck you down and die within moments, and thank goodness I'm not a strong swimmer, but I was like, I think I was just around the edge and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to like get because it was a lazy river in Sacramento. You're kind of like hanging out and like having fun. Just like I've done that in Colorado too. So you're not thinking it's that big of a deal.
This was the Disney kiddie ride of rivers that we were on.
Exactly. You're not expecting a little, and that when that happens, it just gives you a new respect for nature, because you have no idea how powerful and not innocuously seeming. That's probably not a word, but well, I'm so glad that you're alive and you're well and you didn't bump your head, and that Jessica's okay, and that, I mean, you got your kayak back. Wow, I'm shocked, and it's not even me who's moving. Wow, and wow, there's so much more meaning layered onto your current trip. I mean, it was already meaningful. It's even more meaningful. Wow, and then is it replacing the grills? What is that? Is that?
Well, replacing the grill is the mechanic wasn't able to put the bottom piece of the grill back on correctly and ended up damaging the grill. he did the best he could to get this tow vehicle turned into a tow vehicle. And so we ended up driving this 4-hour drive to Denver and 4-hour back thing last night to get that grill piece replaced, which is it really that important? Well, we want it to look pretty. We do want it to look pretty. But it's interesting over the last few days and getting ready for this tour and having to do these drives and all these different pieces. Jessica's like, we've lived more in the last 48 hours.
Yeah, the most people have in a year. Wow.
So it's just one piece of that puzzle. I'm very excited because this little Mini Cooper is going to turn into, and it's the station wagon of Mini Coopers. And I just can't get over it. I never thought about it that way until Jessica, we got the car delivered and she's like, it's a station wagon. I'm like, oh no. But we're there. We're there. It's kids time. So station wagon, perfect. But it's gonna be diamond white with gold trim on it. Very abundant, but not like I had on Kyle Gray last week from Angels. He's like, ooh, that's gonna be very bougie. He meant bourgeois, meaning really flamboyant. I don't mean it that way, but it will definitely be this classy car with a good grill on it that we will tow around, and I think we'll represent.
Are we talking like Liberace level, or like what?
No. We're not talking Liberace level. So I don't want to be. I want to be classy rather than flashy.
Okay, classy versus flashy. Okay, I get the general vibe. So the grill is like the part in the front that the car has. So you're replacing that grill.
The lower part of the grill, because when you tow a vehicle behind an RV, you have to have. If you can picture a tow. For those who have towed anything behind their car, there's a hitch that you weld in behind your car to pull a boat or to take a bike rack or anything. In this case, they put a hitch on the front of your car to attach you to an RV. And that hitch goes through the grill, and you have to cut out the grill properly for the hitch to go through it.
Oh, I see. Got it.
It looks like you've got mangled plastic, and we ended up with mangled plastic.
Oh.
And I definitely want it pretty, although there's even a letting go of attachment there that if the new mechanic who does it can't get it to look pretty, I just have to let go.
Right.
I have to let go. I have to let go. I have to let go. We have 5,000 barefoot running books in our garage from our first, when we first wrote the book, that are under contract. We can't sell those books, which is fine. Those we're going to rent, I think next weekend. If not, it will be when we come back. We've already planned it out. The Goodwill or Salvation Army, 100 miles away, will take those 5,000 books and distribute them to people in need.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to take all of the baggage that's been holding us down. Because those books have traveled around with us. 5,000 books is really heavy.
Wow.
And we're going to donate them, and we're going to get light, and we're going to get lighter, and we're going to get lighter.
Well, I'm actually remembering your drive from the East Coast, and you had a Jed Clampett moment where you're driving this gigantic thing, and everything was sliding around.
With those 5,000 books in it, yeah.
Yeah,
so
that
weighted down properly.
Yeah, so now that's gone. I mean, you've gone through so many moves from Hawaii to, and then moving your stuff from Hawaii, and then like merging with California, and then another East Coast. I mean, you've had stuff scattered across the country, and then in Hawaii, and you've merged it all. You've purged a good portion of it, and now you're just going through the final purging. What I'm very curious to see is like what you're getting rid of aside from these books. What kinds of things are you going to let go of now that this is your maybe third or fourth move since I've known you? It will be interesting to see.
I'm somebody who likes staying in one place. I'll get very, very comfortable. And I'm told when I go into automatic writing that we've either exceeded our stay or we've hit the end of our stay here.
In Colorado.
At least at this home. If not in Colorado. We will stay tuned and find out on that.
So exciting, Michael.
But I have never moved as much as when I've been with Jessica, because we got married and I'd been, a good Colorado boy, and we're married and we did a book tour and we came back home. And then a few months after tour, we got married right after the tour. She broke her foot the day after we got married. And she felt she couldn't heal in Colorado because here we are, the barefoot running people. And she broke her foot in a storage unit having to do with heavy stuff.
Wow.
She goes and travels to the Southwest with a girlfriend of hers. She comes back, like her best friend growing up. She comes back and she goes, "We're moving to Taos." I'm like, "Oh, really interesting." And she goes, "Well, I'm moving to Taos. You can come with me if you'd like." And we were newlyweds, so I was moving out of Colorado, and we finally got back here 2.5 years ago after 6 or 7 years of travel.
It's been 2.5 years in Colorado? Wow, Michael, that went by so quickly. I can't, because I literally just remember you driving from North Carolina and that Jed Clampett scenario with the U-Haul or whatever. 2.5 years, that's so long. I'm shocked, actually. Wow, are you feeling sad at all?
I was feeling very sad as the signs started to stack up. I think whether it was my birthday, which was certainly a nail in the coffin, or whether it was that dream, I can't say, or whether it's the fires, all of it, just like on being on the edge of the river and having a confluence, a kind of a jet stream where all the waters come together to force through at that one point, it's all coming together. And I'm watching all the signs and symbolism and going, okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. So I don't know where we'll end up. I don't pretend to. I don't have any idea. No idea what it'll look like, although I'm hopeful it's traveling around in an RV for a while, if that's what's meant to be. I have no idea, which may be the best place in the world. I look at my 50th as a complete rebirth. Not like a near-death experience. Thankfully, this wasn't a near-death experience. But I look at it as everything from the before has meaning and significance, but doesn't matter. It's about how we're going to live this next 50.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. You know, I'm taking this one class, and they have this MP3, and it's on SoundCloud, which I'm sorry, I hate SoundCloud. It's the hardest little music player to play ever. Anyhow, I was like, listen, and then like somehow, I don't know, my phone is possessed, or I'm not sure I know how to use the phone.
You've had phone challenges in the past.
Yes,
as well. Your phones tend to get possessed.
I put my phone in my carrying scenario, and like the phone stops, and then I have to keep on playing, and like it closes the SoundCloud. So I've listened to this one segment maybe 3 or 4 times during a 5-minute walk, and I thought maybe there's a reason. But the what reminds me of that is that it was talking about how we're going, everyone, all the spiritual folks talk about this great transformation that is happening right now, and it's about healing, going into our worst fears and healing those. And when we do that, we find our greatest vision and greatest potentiality, but we have to like walk through the fire, so to speak, or go through the water or whatever in order to find that. And I literally heard that 3 or 4 times. I'm like, why am I listening to the same little MP3 thing 3 or 4 times? But I thought, well, that's interesting because I've been taking this class on visioning, and I would say since probably COVID hit, I've just been like rummaging and one by one taking fear of Me Too oriented fears, working on that, fear of sacrificing too much, fear of all these fears, and just like been like addressing them one by one by one by one. And this morning I woke up at 5, and which I know you do all the time. It's early for me, but I've been waking up at around 5:45 this whole week because I'm taking the shamanic journeying class, and I highly recommend this. You may already do this given how early you wake up, but you go out and you watch a sunrise every single morning.
Every morning.
And do you do that every morning?
Every morning. I'm a gazer, so that means every morning I am locking gaze with the sun as she comes up over the horizon every single
Do you think
morning.
it's
Now,
bad?
this morning there was no sun, or there was clouds. So,
Do you think it's bad to look in the sun like that?
I'm going to give my opinion with a massive caveat for anybody who's listening.
Right.
And that caveat is that do not try this at home. I am Michael. This is what I do. I am not recommending this to anybody, any way, any shape, anyhow. With that said, I believe that if it is on the horizon or very close to the horizon, that you're actually, a lot of the sun's rays are filtered and that you're actually getting, to me, what I call vitamins, nutrients, energy. It has helped me to heal. It has helped me to heal from a near-death experience. It resyncs my body clock. It helps me to sleep. It calms me throughout the day. And on and on and on and on and on it
really?
goes. So that is very sacred for me.
Yeah, well, so in the shamanic practices, they often call upon the spirits of the north, south, east, west. And so, as you probably know already, the east is the rising sun, so it's new beginnings. And you call upon the spirit of the butterfly, and anything that's kind of you associate with freshness and newness and bringing forth like a new vision. And so, synchronizing with that is actually really nice because there's something about, as I've been waking up, and I'd love to hear what you experienced. I mean, you've already told me some of it, but so the first day I woke up and it was cloudy in Seattle. In Seattle, it was cloudy, and there's just a little streak of white, bright white beaming light, and all these dark clouds, funneling by, and it was just so beautiful to see that little shimmering light. And then the sky brightened up as these dark clouds came by. And I was like, wow, it's magical. I never get up at this time to see the sky, but it's beautiful. And then the second day, I got up and it was black. And it turned from black to gray. And that was it. I was like, I woke up at what time for what? I thought, well, isn't that interesting? You have expectations on the sun to adhere to your aesthetics.
Absolutely.
So
we can get attached to everything.
I thought that's interesting. You've learned a lesson from just watching the sun. And then the third day, I thought I'm going to drive over to this area called View Ridge. And I woke up at 5 in the morning, and I was going up and down the hills like this, up and down on 65th. And then each time I'd see a little peak of the sun coming, it's like, woo, woo, and then I'd go down, racing down, and then coming up the hill, and they're like, woo, woo, and they go down, up and down. But it was really fun just chasing the sun. And then finally I got to just sat and saw the sun rising over the Cascades. And it was just gorgeous. And I wonder if I move my car. And I was like, oh, there's Rainier. And then there's Rainier, Mount Rainier, with the sun hitting it on the east. It was just so. I've never been so happy than seeing that sun. And I thought, okay, I saw the sun rising. And then I thought, wait, I think I should stay longer because I thought, okay, maybe I've never watched a sunrise, so I didn't really know what to expect. But I thought, no, I don't think it's done yet. So I sat there. And the pictures where they have the mountain and their beams coming out like this. Like when you're a little kid, you draw those beams out of the sun. I saw these beams, literally beams of light behind the mountains, the Cascade Mountains. And then it was so bright. And I thought, I want to look into the sun, but I wonder if I'm going to have, it's going to burn out my retinas. I don't know.
One thing I know is it takes time to get used to. Sort of like if you go out without sunscreen on and you're not used to it, you get burned. So if I haven't been gazing for a while, I would gaze for a tiny bit of time and build
and then
up.
do it. Yeah. So I kind of looked and thought, I don't know if it's good. Then I put my sunglasses and I thought, well, this doesn't seem quite right. But anyways, I was tooling around with that. And then the next day, I also had 2 more days of this watching the sun. And it is what I was amazed and surprised and how happy it made me just to see something so in some ways simple but miraculous and then one day I sat in the sun and I was like, oh, because in the Eastern practices, they talk about the heart of consciousness. This is where consciousness resides, in the heart. And they talk about the sun as a symbol for where your heart is. And so the external version of your heart would be the sun. So when you see the sun and its beams coming in you, it's like life giving you energy, love, unconditional love, acceptance, beauty. So I was just looking at the sun and thinking like, no, what if I was just getting showered with love? And all of this was just love. And can I just open my heart to feel? And then I just started crying. It was just so unbelievably beautiful to just have like the beautiful unconditional love of the sun. Not a human being. It's just the sun. And when you let the beams in your heart, it is pure magic. So I want to hear what you experience when you see the sun. In addition to things like, tell me what you're, yeah.
So I have a unique practice at this point, which is Jessica and I share it, although she's not a sun gazer like I am, which is we will sit before sunrise out on the deck. All of the chipmunks and squirrels will join us in our laps. And it is just the coolest thing, but I won't watch the chipmunks and squirrels at first. I will be watching the sun, and there is, call it a dopamine hit, whatever. The second, because we have an 11,000-foot volcano in front of the house, and the second it goes bing, right above the volcano, and you see just the tiniest little bit, that first moment of sun, it's like your heart stops. And there's both a rush of amazingness, it's the show, and just pure love, and it is the sun, and I'm going into a state of gratitude, and I'm thanking the sun, and I'm thanking the earth, because the sun shines her light, irregardless of who or what you are, who or what you've done, who or what you've been, or whatever will be. It's just pure love. And you go, well, that's not love. What do you mean, dude? That's the life that gives life to everything. No sun, no life, period. Done deal. And you are stardust. You are stardust. I am stardust. Everybody listening to this, every atom in our being has been in the sun. And so it's just such a spiritual connection to me. It's an eye gazing, just as real as you and I gazing or gazing with somebody in a meditation center. I'm just gazing with the sun, and I'm giving thanks, and I'm thanking for a beautiful day ahead, and I'm connecting on such a deep soul level. And I'll stay usually this summer, because you don't catch the sun quite at the horizon, because the horizon's 11,000 feet up in this case, until she is until she is fully above the volcano. And at that point, I call it good. I give thanks again. And then I go to the chipmunks that are at this point in my house.
Oh, I'm going to miss all those animals. Are you going to miss sweeties?
I imagine animals will chase us down. I mean, we'll have the kitties. We'll have Ruru with us in the RV. So I imagine animals, we have such a special sacred connection to the animals.
I know. And nature. I mean, I think it's partially, I'm feeling more connection with nature just by watching a sunrise. And the other day, I didn't have this in our little notes, but a friend of mine and I were walking around Seattle, and there's a crow, and its arm was like this, and it had it on the ground. It's a little crow was like, its arm was like that, its wing was down like this, and it looked like it had broken its wing, or like it just was like completely, and its eyes were like closed, and it was really bothering my friend, and I was like, I don't know what to do. It's like, I don't know how to fix a bird's wing, nor do I think like the Park Service will come out and fix it. I was like, oh.
There are bird rescue centers.
Are there?
Yep, but give me a miracle story.
Okay, so then I said, okay, I will do something, because it feels awful not to do anything. So I just sat there, and I had just heard on this MP3, ishq is the word for pure love, I think in Sufi. So I was just like, ishq, and I was like sending Reiki energy to this bird, believing that it was doing something. And then the bird like started opening its eye like this, and then blinking open both its eyes, and then took its wing and like rotated it around and down, and then walked away. It's like, wow. I don't know if that had any, I have no idea what it was, but it was kind of cool just to see something change and having a sense that maybe I did it, maybe I didn't. Who the heck knows? But having a closer connection with nature and feeling that you're really connected with it, and much so that like I could actually send love to this crow, which is one of my spirit animals, and have it do something was kind of miraculous. Did I do it? Who knows? I choose to believe that I did, even though I have no idea if I did or not. So
I'm
that
gonna
was,
go with yes.
yeah.
All of it adds up. All of it matters. We got some angel cards from Kyle Gray a few days ago, who we had on the show, and the night of my scream dream, so to speak. I think we pulled a card right before bedtime, and it was angelic protection. And then I woke up from those dreams, and Jessica's like, "Oh man, this feels really bad. You need to draw a card." And I drew the card, and it was angelic protection again. And we've only in 2 days we've drawn cards a few times. Each one she's gotten 2 other cards. Both of them came up a second time. And for me, it's just angelic protection. When we get these things happening, when we see something, a crow suddenly seems to do better. I think I mentioned maybe last time a squirrel that seemed like it was dead on the road in front of us, and I picked up the squirrel and said blessings over it, and it came back to life only for a few minutes, but it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
All of these things, all of them, we are going to be laughing so much on the other side. When we realize just how everything is energy, how everything is connected, how everything makes a difference to everything else, how absolutely you affected the bird, and how also that bird was perfectly positioned there to affect you.
Yeah.
That's the craziness.
Yes,
It's
because
all this.
because I was in this workshop, and the woman said, "Well, you're a healer," and I was like, for some reason, I have like a kind of shirking, like, oh, I don't want to own that word, that term. I can't resonate with that, but I did heal the bird, so it was just like, okay, I guess there is nature showing me, yes, I am a healer. Just get congruent with it. Stop moaning about not resonating with the word. But yeah, and I the other thing we did is there's this Beth, who we both know, recommended this bioenergetic healing person, which I've never done this work before, and it was amazing. There's like someone who basically, if you're trying to do healing, she'll have someone there that she's doing muscle testing with, who's acting as a surrogate for you. And she can quickly dissect and figure out any kinds of issues that you're having. It was miraculous. So it is like suspending your disbelief, knowing I don't know how it happens. I'm not sure how she was able to get so quickly to kind of the root of some issues, but she did, and it was unbelievable. I'm beginning to see the magic of these unknown areas. I mean, you and I deal with this all the time, so I don't know why I'm surprised, but I was still surprised at all the different ways that people use for healing. Can I share with you one last thing I did this morning? So
Absolutely.
I woke up at 5, and as part of my shamanic class, there's a death circle. And I think it was the Shan tribe has a teepee that when people die, they go, like when they're close to death, they're brought, the elder people are brought into this teepee, and people get to say their last goodbyes. Like it's like, they're like, you're probably going to die in a couple weeks, so we're going to bring you here. And all the relatives come, and they say their last words. So there's no unfinished business. Everything is like clean, and everyone can like move on to their ways. And so the idea, her adaptation of this is to create your own death circle. So you create a rope around you, or rocks, and then which is your teepee, your death circle, and you face the west direction, which is the unknown darkness, places of magic. So I facing the west, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to do this, and having a little bit of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not sure. So I call up, and so I ask my dad, and then I bring up like, okay, here's my unfinished business. And then all of a sudden, just everything just came rushing out. unfinished business with my dad, my mom, my brother, my babysitter from when I was younger, my
Wow.
friend in college, another friend from high school. And it was just like a rush of things. And what I wasn't expecting was how much, this sounds awful, but like hatred and resentment and anger I had in my heart. And that,
It's okay. Need to get it
yeah,
out.
it was amazing because just having that come out was hard because I don't like to think that there's hatred and anger and, resentment in my heart, but there is, right? And to harbor all of that in my heart just feels like I'd rather get it out. And what was interesting in all cases, whether it was my babysitter, who I'm like, I wasn't very happy. This is a minor version of what I said, but like, let's say I'm not happy with how you took care of me. And I felt like you neglected me. And I was talking to her spirit, and it's like, yeah, I did neglect you. I was kind of upset. I didn't like the fact that I had to take care of you, and I had kind of an awful life. And I resented having to take care of you, and that, and I was like, oh, okay. It's like,
Cool.
I could see her, I can see how she resented me. I think I felt it at some level, and I could see how she probably wouldn't be happy with her life, or that she had to work and take care of me by babysitting. Like she's like, I didn't want your dreams to come true because mine never did. And it's like, okay. Or like, times when you were hoping someone would give you something and they didn't because they just couldn't. They couldn't receive all the love that you were giving them, and they couldn't return it. And that's sometimes what it's like. And it's just accepting that person, even if they can't do that. I mean, people have all sorts of good reasons why they can't. But even it was so clearing to just have that that experience. Highly recommend if because I know that you had so many and you have such a strong intuition that you could just take what I said and do it on your own. But it was pretty. I really feel like darkness in my heart, I would say, was released. Some of it, at least. Who knows what else is in there, but. It was really kind of and the belief is that when it's released and unburdened, then the light can shine through, and more power is restored back to you. That was the idea.
Woohoo.
Yes.
It reminds me of Dr. Wayne Dyer used to say, you have to die while you're still alive.
Yeah.
And there's something that wasn't just symbolic or metaphorical in a sense, that was literal, and that you went into this ceremony as if this is at it, and started clearing all of this stuff, saying what needs to be said.
Yeah, it felt so cathartic, and I didn't realize how much darkness there was and I didn't realize like the toll it had upon my heart, and I wasn't expecting. And who knows? Other people may go through this and have a whole different set of experience. Maybe it's sadness, but for me, it was just unresolved anger and resentment that just came spewing out like a cathartic throw up all over the place, but it felt
That's
good
funny.
to get it out. Yeah. Anyway, so that was my week, kind of phenomenal in so many different ways. So tell me more before we close the chicken backpacks. I'm scared.
Yeah, all of this, and then we'll wrap things up here. So no, we've Ruru's going to be out on tour with us, and we're trying to figure out a way to carry him hiking. He's more than the kitties. He likes car rides. He likes being carried. What he likes the most is actually you holding him like he's a big bird, and he is a big bird,
Yeah.
and flying him around as if he can actually fly, and he loves it. And if you hold him and you run, he starts throwing his head forward as if he's actually doing the running himself. And so we've actually commissioned somebody to make a custom chicken backpack so that he can go running with me.
Wait, how are you constructing
I have
things?
no
Is its
idea.
head going to be on your side, or like how?
I have no idea, CJ, because I tried to buy a doggy pack today where the head sticks out of the pack and the feet dangle. And Jessica's like, the feet aren't in the same place with the chicken and the dogs. So I have no idea.
Yeah, and you're going to have to switch his head position from right to left so you don't get unbalanced when you're running, because otherwise you'll have this kind of
I
like
thought of this. Yes. I have no idea. So we're
maybe baby stroller.
that's well, for pavement that would work.
Oh, right,
but
not...
I do mainly trails.
I don't even know how to explain this.
Can you picture somebody, you're out running and all of a sudden I bomb down a hill and I pass them and I've got a rooster with me?
Maybe a hat. Just have a chicken set on your head.
Team rooster?
I think like the backpack. I just can't see the backpack.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
All right, you're going to have to show us a picture of you running with chicken. Michael, you never cease to amaze me.
I didn't choose. I'm so grateful that rooster has come into our life. But I never once in a million years said, you know what I'm trying to attract right now? We've been talking about dog for a long time, but we hadn't talked about rooster. Now, rooster is in many ways smarter than dog and staying by my side.
Oh,
gosh. Quite impressive.
Oh, my gosh, Michael, this is just... you never cease to entertain and amaze me. I think I kind of lead a little bit of an out there life. And then I talk to you and think, well, I seem normal in comparison.
I'm just thinking that we need to get him a vest that says service rooster. He's an emotional support service rooster.
Exactly. Oh, I love it. I wonder if he can become a service animal.
Have to wait at the door.
Yeah, service animal. Can you bring him in for food when you go to restaurants? I don't know.
I don't know.
Gosh.
I have no idea.
Better be a vegetarian restaurant too that doesn't serve eggs.
Yes. We are very, very particular about this now. And I'm not having any talk of anything of the subject with him even remotely energetically close. Okay,
Michael, that's all I got. I just can't tap that.
It is such a beautiful time. Such a beautiful time to me of surrender. We don't surrender typically when the going is easy. It's sort of like if you work with a client who's an alcoholic or any sort of an addict, you know that the addict will only stop typically under one of two circumstances. One, they hit the tree, or two, their family threatens to leave them. Mm-hmm. And that's a metaphorical tree. Other than that, it's exceptionally rare for the addict to make the great change. Because you have to want it so badly. That's where we're at as a world. We just hit the freaking tree. Yeah. Whether it's a political tree, a COVID tree, an XYZ tree, it doesn't matter. We're all hitting the tree right now.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So we can frame it as oh my God, this is awful. And I'm not making light of anything. Oh my God, this is awful, we can frame it as. Or we can frame it as, I'm letting go of the raft. It's pinning me under the tree. I'm going to let go. Something else even better is going to come out of this.
Yeah.
And I'm just surrendering into all of it.
Yeah.
And that is Phoenix rising to me, is surrendering and being birthed anew and rising to an even higher level. And it's there for each of us.
Yeah. I mean, it's letting go of all the fears, all the attachments, so that love and a clearer vision can come through.
Much better than I put it. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler and
CJ Lou from the Fired Up with CJ show.
Who's now become a chicken.
Wait, what is your chicken imitation?
I'm not even going there.
You hear chickens. I'm just making it up.
I have to tell all of my guests now that the mic that they're hearing me on and the mic that I'm speaking on are two different things because my mic blocks all background noise. But for my interview with Dr. Dawson Church, before the interview started a couple hours ago, he was in the Ruru was in the kitchen going, I'm going, we never planned this, not in a million years. And Dawson's like, you never cease to amaze me.
Oh my God.
So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler and
CJ Lou from the Fired Up with CJ show.
Be well, have fun, be the phoenix, rise from the ashes, and hopefully the ashes aren't too bad. But remember, you can choose something greater coming out of this. Every single one of us can choose something greater coming out of this. And above and beyond all else, shine bright.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. I would love your support in any way by giving me comments below, or to subscribe to the show, or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.
Woohoo!